guys, welcome back to the Dive Season 2. Last time we spoke about is academics, the only way to success, and we had some amazing insights. Today we are talking about the academic or education system in Africa and in Ghana at large. We are going deep into it. We are talking about things that are actually really good that we don't see, things that we think could be done better, and everything in between. So yeah, stick and stay.
I think I want to focus on the applied sciences in Ghana. It can be engineering or any other applied sciences. I think the pro is that the students are trained to think analytically. That's the good part. Of course, you have to train them to think analytically because you don't have so many practical stuff going on. So I think that's the good part. So like when you come here and you're doing courses that involve analytical thinking, you wouldn't have say much of any challenge or yeah. I
Okay.
think that's fine.
Okay, so if given the chance, considering what we've all said, especially what Theo has said, if given the chance, what is one mentality or what is one particular thing about the system that you would change or that you would like to change? David, I'll give you this one.
What would I like to change
one
about?
mentality or
So
one.
give campaign for a presidential.
What would I like to change about the educational system? First of all, I think in Ghana, the first thing I want to emphasize on is the fact that if you want to be a bright student, okay, it actually starts right from class 1, kindergarten or everything, because everything we do is accumulated knowledge. If you are going to be bad at math, probably it was not SHS. It was somewhere in your education line, there was a default or defect somewhere. And for me, I think one thing I would like to comment there, for those in Ghana, the school feeding program.
For those in Ghana.
I mean, you get what I'm trying to say. Because I think nutrition, in terms of breaking the poverty line, is one way. The studies show that nutrition actually correlates to brain development.
Okay.
So how the nutrition you get as a child will go a long way to develop your brain and your intellect and the way you can reason. So the first thing is that in Africa, probably that's one main indicator why our education system, well, not our education system per se, but why maybe we don't have a lot of innovation coming from Africa, probably. Because the studies show that the less nutrition you get as a child, the less nutrition as your child, the less you have brain development. So the first thing that I would think is that the government or in Africa, emphasis must be placed on early nutrition right from the birthplace, good nutrition right from birth. I think that's the first thing that should be emphasized on. And I think a lot of countries do that in the sense that I think Finland has the best educational system in the world. And what I know is that every mom that gives birth, I think for the first year, they are given supplies of food for the child to develop well. And if we can get to that stage, I know corruption will take its place and everything, but if we can get to that level, it's one of the things that the advanced countries are doing and is showing good results. And so if we want to benefit from that, if we want to get to their level, we must do or copy or learn from them. So I think, in my opinion, one thing we must start from is right from the fundamental stage, good nutrition. That shows is a good indicator of how well you'd grow.
People are really, like, I wasn't expecting, like, I was expecting you guys to give good points, but
So also, you see, this has been an age, a long overdue talk or whatever they say, because like people will be like, so in Africa, how do we change our education system? How do we change our education system? We keep saying curriculum. Do you realize that our curriculum is just like theoretical base, no practical base, nothing like that, and a whole lot. And I asked, how are we going to make it practical based? That is one of the things.
Mm.
Because when you talk about you want to make your schools practical based, right? Education is something that has to be the concern of the entire nation,
Okay.
not only the teachers. So right now, I think the new curriculum Ghana, for instance, is having, they are engaging the parents more. I think my junior staff brought some work that we are supposed to teach her how to draw for an I said, I said, is really older than my father. So what are you talking about? You understand? So this kind of things, the idea is right. They know that, okay, let's engage the child. They should engage their parents to teach them something about Kofanoche, then they draw and bring it. You understand? That's the idea. But why do you tell me to? So the whole education should be like a national concern. You understand? A national concern. If that is the case, then like they do here in the US, some of the companies use the schools as R&D centers, especially the universities. They use them as their research and development centers. So you see that they want some products to be manufactured or some projects to be done. They give the funding to the schools. Let's do this. The school look for the best kind of candidates that will do this. Sometimes, I'm sure some of the lecturers and things might not have up to that level of knowledge, but because it's funded, let's get into it. Let's see what we can do. Yeah. That is how we say we are practicalizing the system
instead of drawing.
So it's not like government wake up and say, oh, let me change the textbook now. Let's KG2. We'll call it this kind of. We'll call it now early child, and that has changed. No, it is actually the things that we are going to be putting in. Yeah. And it should be like a national something. Yeah. Because like for instance, there are some companies I know that they want projects to be done. But instead of hiring people to do, they will contact some Chinese companies to research how can this be done. Yeah. And they will tell you that those Chinese people will give it to their schools. Why would they give it to their schools? Because that is how they develop their kids.
That's true.
You understand? Yeah. So at least if we are able to do that, our lecturers themselves also pass through theoretical approaches. Yeah. So if you say I should transfer knowledge, I'll transfer what I know, which is the theory that I know. Yeah. So, but if you give me practicals, actually do this, I'll give you 10 billion. Do this thing for me. The billion alone, like that alone is going to ginger you, and then we are going to push.
Find a way out.
You find a way out, then we'll push and all those things. So I think the curriculum not only have to be changed through textbooks, and then like let's say forcing teachers going on workshops and all those things, like what they used to do. But they must engage like companies, stakeholders, people who can have some influence in this kind of education system. Let them like bring them on board. Tell it, if you have some ideas, let's contact our schools and see. Let us be able to provide these kind of things. Alumni can build science structures for SHS and all those things, right? To improve science and math quiz. Why can't alumni and things do these things for like the universities by what? Investing in them. Let's invest into a project that will build something in the labs. Yeah, you understand those things. Yeah. So I think those are the policies that is going to give us some level of sustainability when it comes to that. If you apart from the food, Chairman is saying, that's the chemical energy. But after the chemical energy, the brain power, that is how it is developed. Yeah. You understand? So I think, in my opinion, that
so
should
I want to make sure I understand the national concern. So the national concern. So, for example, so people like me in the audience who like. So, are you saying that like? So maybe there's a project that government wants to undertake. Instead of contracting someone else, you should throw that to the schools or throw that to the people so it will challenge them to actually get it done. And then government will later be confident in their own people or something like that.
Yeah. When we say projects, like for instance, government wants to do roads and that is a different infrastructural project. We have research and developmental projects. You understand? Like let's come out with a design for an architectural design for, let's say, a bridge. Those ones, they are like a infrastructure project. We can give it to companies and things to do that. I'm talking about research and development. That's what the school is there for.
Yeah.
You understand? There are certain things that we can actually do as a school. Like for instance, we want to build a particular bridge. Okay, government has given a company money to build a bridge, right? Now the architectural design of the bridge. Sometimes the companies don't have good architects to even do it, but like they can go for the contract before now. They will be looking for where and who to to outsource those things to. You understand?
Okay.
And funny enough, if the outsourcing is done to what the companies within the country, that is fine. That's circulation of what the money in the country. But they can go and outsource it for some US, let's say,
In China.
a Chinese man to design a bridge for you, while the guy doesn't know that Abobo ya and then Pragya, everything works on our road.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, you go and
It's
design
true,
bridge for
honestly.
you that only cars can
true.
go through.
It's true.
Then 2 days, no, I think there were some commissions of bridges that the day of commission, water will take the bridge away and all those things.
Yeah.
You understand? Maybe it could be from the architectural design, it could be from corruption in terms of the building as well, and all those things. So these are the things. We have architectural schools that we say we are teaching architects. Why don't we entrust them with some of these things? These are what is going to experience. Like let's risk it and be on them. Supervise and make sure say they are coming out with the right product.
And then maybe just name it. This is your project for the.
This is
for
the
term
project
or
for the
something,
this
and
thing.
they'll
Fund
put
it
effort
and you
in.
see it.
Yeah.
They will do it. You understand? They're like, yeah, they do it. And most of them, when you put academics on it, like this is your final year project, so they will put in their best to do it.
Yeah.
That's what they do here, and I believe
working.
those things work. You
Yeah.
understand?
That's
So
a
those
good
are
one.
that's an R&D kind of project.
Yeah. Okay.
For me, if there was one thing I could change, I would tackle it at the top. I mean, since David is tackling it at the bottom.
Yeah.
David, why are they on you like
I was
that?
going
I
to
really
that
like
one.
your point.
I don't even know why.
Yeah. I mean, the bottom is also very necessary, but personally, I can't tackle things from the bottom.
Yeah.
So from the top, when you come to the universities, for instance, when I was in tech, so I had some colleagues in the humanities and some in the applied sciences. And I think the way students are taught and assessed is not the best. So like those in the humanities, a lot of them were doing rote learning. And
Yeah.
I don't think that is proper learning because you are not educating them. You are not
They were doing what?
rote learning.
Road learning.
Rote learning.
Rote learning. Please
So
explain.
that's like memorization.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
True and poor.
True and poor.
So
I just go that way.
That's
That's how.
true and
so
I'm sure half of us didn't get it.
Right.
You're welcome.
those in the humanities, they were just doing true and poor memorization. And I don't think that is really an education you're providing them. Because if you give me the humanities, their textbook, I can also just do true and poor and go and write exam. Doesn't mean I've been educated.
Of course.
Those in the applied sciences, maybe it was a bit better, but it wasn't that good. Because the way the system was such that you just have to know what to do to pass. Because once you know how to solve some questions in your slides, you know how to
Yeah,
pass the
that's
exam.
it. Because he said this is what does this.
Yeah.
And that's,
Now, consider a real life scenario. Maybe I'm an electrician. You come to me and say that your light is not working. As an electrician or as an electrical engineer, I have to figure out what could be the possible causes.
it's true. Like let's ask them.
You won't come and tell me that, oh, I placed this resistor here and this. So find the current that is supposed to pass
Yeah.
through and then I'll fix it. If you knew how to do all that, then you wouldn't call me. So my point is that we have to teach the students and assess them such that they are forced to think. That way, then you can see that you're educating them. But the bad side is that as students, we don't like that. So when I was in school, there was this lecturer who assessed us with a similar approach.
Freeborn.
That was semiconductors. But that was semiconductors.
Yeah.
Kwame.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was like, Shatawale wants to organize a birthday, party.
You want to blow
Design
the full
wants
ones.
to
Yeah.
blow.
That was a very
Like he wants
serious
everyone to
question.
hear. You, the engineer, have to know that okay, these are the MOSFETs or these are the switches that I have to use. This is how I have to design it. The whole point is that it is forcing you to think. By thinking, you know how to come up with new products.
Yeah.
But if always I give you the circuit and you find the current and you do that, you won't think. You just know how to solve questions. And when you are done and you come out and you are
So
looking
what
for a
did
job,
I
you'll be
learn?
like, what skills
So
you have?
what would you change?
So what I would change is that assess them in an appropriate way that tests understanding and not just your ability to commit to mind or to solve questions in the slides.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are some of these methods of assessments we can use?
So we can go with the normal assessment like the way we write exams and all that, but let us change the way we test the students.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be straightforward testing of do you know how to solve this question? Do you know how to do this? That one doesn't force them to think or anything. We can have of course it doesn't force us to think. We can have talk about having practicals and all that, but that's secondary because if you don't have the resources to bring like to do practicals, then there's no point in that.
Yeah.
So me, I'll just address things from the lecturers, from their points. They should change the way they teach and then the way they assess students.
Yeah, there is an adage. Our forefathers they used to say something. They said that if the dog will not bite you, he will not finish
Unfinished
yeah. You understand? No. Which means that okay. What means that like this. I'm supposed to assess you to think, right?
Yes.
I must teach you how to think.
Yes.
That is the thing. So I can't come and say, 2x, although maybe this is the a voltage source in series with a resistance.
I'm sorry for you.
Wait, what, right? And then you've been able to solve that effective resistance, whatever. Then in the exam, I make it like
Practical assessment.
kind of thing. You understand? Meanwhile, you've
Design the
never
lights for
even
the
told
stadium.
me how this relates practically.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
the thing. So that's why I told you when you step in the class, you must let them know what you are coming to teach, how they will apply it. When you do that, you can assess them down. So I think he's made a valid point. But then it starts from the teaching.
Yeah.
Then I'll assess you like that.
Yeah.
So basically,
Just to hammer on the teaching aspect.
yeah.
I think teachers in general, especially in Ghana, let me take out the university because you guys have dealt much on it. Junior high, primary, senior high school. I think,
You like it.
yeah, I do actually. I think a lot of teachers in Ghana are not trained.
Yeah.
It's very easy for you to finish university and go straight away and go and teach in any school.
Yeah.
But if you really want to get the best out of students and out of your school, yes, there are some people who can come out and they can be very good teachers. That's fine.
Yeah.
But for the system itself to make sure that it works and there are checks and balances, it should be that teachers are actually trained. They are actually trained for their position. So that they know how to build a curriculum, they know how to assess themselves, they know how to like it's their job. That's what they do. So again, with the Finland example, because I've actually
to feel
I've not been to Finland before. But if you have watched the news some years back, it was said that in Finland, even from primary school, all teachers have a master's degree.
Yeah, I heard of that.
They have a master's degree. I'm not saying that teachers should have a master's degree, but it shows you how serious they are taking their education to be. You cannot apply to a primary school, to junior high school without having a master's degree. It doesn't have to be the case because finances and a lot of different things can be the issue, but there should be a system of training that after we say that, okay, we are putting a teacher in this class, we can stamp an authority and say that, okay, this teacher is going to give my child the best of education. Because right now, truly, someone can finish SHS and go and teach in any school. And that is bad because if the person is not really good, what it means that his bad knowledge or the way he thinks
is what is being
is going to be, that's what's going to be transmitted to them. So as a whole, education should be seen as a priority in the country, like Theophilus has said. And teachers need to be trained adequately. University, a lot of professors and lecturers, they have never been to any training. And they probably don't need it because University is seen as
Research.
research or learning by yourself. It's where you get to the point where you have to learn by. Yes, it really helps if teachers, professors teach well, but it's more like now you're at a level of thinking or a stage where you can
Reason on your own.
reason on your own. But in those stages, kindergarten, primary, those things, those stages, teachers need to be. It shouldn't be that you set up a school and then anyone can just come and teach.
Yeah.
What are your qualifications? You have a bachelor's degree. That doesn't mean you can teach in school. Even though you know the subject matter, do you know how to actually communicate that knowledge in a way that someone can understand? All those things must be taken into consideration in terms of how we train teachers. And I don't know if you have realized this, but I think the teachers I've encountered, all of them, it seemed to me that it was not their first option.
Yeah.
And it seemed like they were all forced into it. This was my last resort.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, first of all, they don't do it with a lot of passion. One thing I would like to say is that
Already they give them all they have to taste this. That's really
first of all, I went to my high school that I went to. I can say that all my classes, I won't really say that the teachers were the one that did so well.
Hey,
They were good enough.
you mentioned your high school.
They were good enough. They were good enough. But I will say that, like, when you put in a lot of good people in a school, they will do well. They will do well. Whatever the case is, Harvard is not the best school because they teach well. It's because of the screening process, because of the kind of people that go there. It's not because of the teacher. But what in the case of other, category C, category B schools that you won't really have bright students going there? What that means is that the emphasis has to be on the teacher himself or herself, making sure that he can impart knowledge. And if you're putting anyone at all that just waves his hand that I need a job, you are just going to create a ripple chain of people not learning from that kind of level. So training must be given at that level, right from the early age, that teachers are actually really trained and prepared for the job that they're going to do.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
I also think training, but then training every few years, because
True.
there are a couple of teachers that are like, 1984, and I'm like, we don't do that anymore. Like, what? So like training every few years.
Yeah, that's true. I think you guys have given some very, very good points. All right, so the next one, I want you guys to help us with some studying tips for the people out there, like maybe try to hacks or like ways to just make this whole school thing easier or bearable. So like some studying tips. Someone should answer.
I think Bati should start.
Yeah.
This one.
Okay, let me explain why they keep directing the thing to him. Because he's
Yes.
like a very mega shark.
I'm not
That's
shocked.
why. And I'm sure if you went to KJS, you already know himself.
Thank you. Yeah, I think you would have to figure out what works for you. So personally, what worked for me was that I like to study when I'm most active. And when I'm most active is right after I wake up. So whether it's at dawn, whether it's in the evening, that's the time that I'm most active. And so you might want to figure out when you're most active. It might be in the evening, might be at dawn, might be in the afternoon. Figure that out. And when you try for some time and it's not working, don't be bogged down on one thing, spending hours on it. Seek help. There's someone who has probably figured it out. So instead of spending like 3 hours on just one problem or trying to understand something, someone can explain it to you in just 30 minutes and you have more time to move on to other things.
Yeah.
So it's good that you might want to figure it out by yourself, but you don't always have to figure everything out by yourself. So let me see, identify the time that works for you and then seek help if you have any problem.
That's a good point. Okay. Ayo, what about you?
I'll say have like a study group. That helps me a lot because where someone is strong, where you're weak, someone else can be strong, like Matsi said, and maybe you're feeling lazy. It's like you want to feel like let's study together. So
Study group actually really helps. That's true. Yeah. Dave, what about you?
So my major tip is, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And that's been my motto, thing that drives me. That you need to plan, especially you need to plan your day.
Yeah.
Because I say from what I've learned, the unit of destiny is time, and whatever you give your time to, you give your destiny to. So, how you spend your day is a good indicator of what you become. What you do every single day, the habits that you acquire, is going to determine whether you can be a successful student or be a bad student. So, what I'll say is that you need to plan when you are going to study, what you are going to study, and make sure that you allocate time based on your own need. So maybe you are good enough in this particular course or something, so you can just spend an hour or two. But if you know that um, you are not good in this, that should be your focus area. So you're not good at math, you should spend more time at math. I think the tendency is that you do the things that you like more. So maybe you have math and science, you like math more, so you tend to spend more time on the math. You get very good at math, but you see that the science will bring you down.
Okay.
So you should first of all plan your day, plan what to study, plan when to study, the time that you're going to study, and focus on your weak areas.
That's a good point. I think it has a lot of good points in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Theo,
so
how
I happen to spend a lot of time with those who are up there and those who are down.
Upward and downward.
Yeah. So those who can assimilate like a whole textbook in 30 minutes. That's how good they are. And those who cannot assimilate in one sentence in 3 years. That is also another. So I happen to spend time with. And I realized one thing. There are different forms of learning. Okay. And then because we are different human beings, right? So like Bati said, he learns when he's most active. This man, he is able to plan his time well and all those things. There are a lot of people who plan their time, but when they plan, they do it. You know, you understand? So I think they just don't understand their body.
Yeah.
You must understand how your brain works. That is number one thing you need to do in terms of studying. For instance, me, I can go a whole term without studying anything. But when I come and pick your book, in 1 hour, I'll finish it. So if you follow me, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
And I have one category of people, another category of people that they have to sit down and then read the whole thing over and over and over again before they get it. So that is how they are made. And before, I have one friend, like my roommate when I was in undergrad. He when he reads it, you understand. But his thing is that when I read it, I must rewrite it.
Right.
So he can decide to rewrite the whole textbook. He doesn't care. But immediately he rewrites it. He's fine.
Wow.
You see, so these ones, he just know what he's up to. So he can go to class. So we are two people. I go to class to go and generate patterns when you are teaching because I don't even have one textbook. I don't have anything. Then he goes to write everything. He doesn't understand anything. That's the difference. So when we come, we bring it together.
Yeah.
Bring your what you've written. Let me show you the meaning of what you've written. Then we do those things. So study groups come in.
Yeah.
You see this kind of thing. But he knows himself. He knows that I can read. When I read and I rewrite the whole thing, I'm okay. But some of us, we can just read the book. When you ask us questions, I picture the page. How the circuit is everything. That is my blessing. That's my gift. So when you ask me on study tip and I say, oh, you just don't worry. Take your time, sit on it to read. They have been doing that. It's not working. You understand?
Yeah.
So I think the first thing they should do, or one should do, is identify what works for you.
Yeah.
There are various learning tips all over the internet. Like you could have, they will tell you do this, take time, do all this thing, do all that. There are some people in preps, they can sit 2 hours straight. Preps, they were punishing me. Because I can only learn 45 minutes. The rest is a joke. But what I'll do 45 minutes is 1 week for you. Wow. So I was not taking prep serious. You get my point. So
Yeah.
it's like you say, make I sit down and I learn it and I learn it. But no, I understand my body.
Yeah.
And I know that no, when I learn within this time it works for me. And it was working. It was not like I was using any seriously, but I understood what. And I have friends who also understood. So they always like, they say, don't mind you. They will be on it. At the end of the day, it comes with blood and say paper.
Yeah.
So you get me? So I think the only thing they have to do is like identify what best works for them.
That's a good point.
Identify your brain, how it works. When you are most active and you feel you are in a good mood, you can do this, you can do that. And there are some people that they even want, when a teacher explains something, they will never understand. It is when their colleague,
Yeah, that's true.
when their colleague tell them that this there is like this, that one they will understand. If you are such a person, there are colleagues always in class who wants to tell you something. There are some people when they learn, they want to come and share it. they are made like that. You identify such people, come close to them, be able to say that those things. They think you are disturbing, but you know what you are doing. So when you are able to understand yourself as individual, you know exactly what to do. You see, when I go and I see Bati, he's always on his computer. I feel like, am I very lazy or something? But when I come and see that, I say, Bati, have you done it? Yeah. Tio, have you done it? Yeah, I've done it. But I realize that he has spent a lot of time. He has sat on it. He did it. Don't 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's at the end of the day, we are two sets of different people. You get my point. So just identify what best works for you, and I think pray.
Yeah, I think that's like a very good point. Like good point.
Yeah, I think creating opportunities.
Yeah,
is
I think
the thing,
that's
too.
really good. So guys, I'm so sorry. It's like I can't ask all my questions. So
We can have a part two.
Oh.
yeah, but like, will you guys come back for us to be set up and everything?
Why not?
Yeah, sure.
I love you.
Oh, okay. So let me ask. Ish, I have questions. So let me just ask. Finally. Can you give our audience some tips for those who want to pursue further studies abroad? Steps to take, things to take notes of, some hacks to the process. Those who want to maybe come and do their masters, get some opportunities, come and study abroad. Everyone should just give like some little tip or little hacks, and then we'll just call it a day.
I think David should start.
Yeah, I think David should
Okay,
I've been here since.
Yes,
That's why you should start.
you have more.
That's why you should start.
Okay, I'll choose.
David.
Franklin.
Okay, so you have to talk to people who have been through the process. So the advice I would give you might be too general or too specific for those pursuing engineering, right? So let me say the general advice would be that get good grades. So do very well in your studies, because you will need your transcript to apply. Build good relationships with your lecturers because you will need recommendations from them. Of course, you should actually build good relationship with them, but even if you don't want to, just do it because you need a recommendation. Yeah, and other things that I think might be too specific would be reaching out to professors that you want to that you want to work with. I think it varies from institution to institution. So in some institutions, like over here at NC, in my department, I understand it is the professor who will decide on which student to pick. But when you go to another school, there is maybe a board that decides on that. So those ones, it will vary. But the general one would be get good grades, build strong relationships with your professors or your lecturers. Yeah, and then talk to people that you want to, like the school that you want to go to. Find people there, talk to them, reach out to them through LinkedIn or I think LinkedIn will work.
Yeah, I think those are very strong points. So we are going this way. So
I would say. Sorry, I'm blanking. Sorry, David, can you go?
Okay, we'll come. Okay, there we go.
Okay. So I'll just like to re-emphasize what Franklin said. It's good to know someone who has gone ahead of you because a friend who has gone ahead of you is in graduate school, because that person can, first of all, you can easily relate to the person, ask the person questions as well, because along the process or along the way to going to grad school, it's a very tiring process. It can be very stressful, and someone who has gone ahead of you will be the best person to advise you. For example, when probably you should start preparing to write GRE if you are going to the US. When exactly should you start applying for schools? How many schools should you apply? How do you even choose the schools you're applying to?
Yeah.
Different kind of things, like maybe, for example, applying for the visa. What's the visa process? There are so many things that go into going to graduate school. And if you have someone, maybe he's a distant friend, you can just reach out to the person and as much as possible try and gain knowledge from the person, because that person can be a very, very valuable resource in getting into grad school. And so the first thing that what Franklin said, to know someone or get to know someone in grad school to help you to guide you along the process. And on this one, I think you should have patience in going to grad school. I'm not saying you should be lazing around,
To be sure.
but I think you need to calm down because it takes a while to get things together. So you should be patient and plan. Get someone who is going to help you along the process, because it takes a while to get things in place.
Yeah.
So that's all I'll say.
All right. Deal, how are you?
Yes, so just to re-echo what they said. This is my personal experience. You know? And when I was coming, I had to reach out to the two of them alone. I told you that NC State was even where I was looking at the more, but it was one statement Bati made. I was looking for funding. I was looking for funding, and then I asked him, and he said, "Oh, as for NC State, they found out their AC." I said, So if I said, "Yeah, I'll put in all my effort." And look at me here. You understand? So that's one statement, and after that, I keep disturbing him. So from then, when did you get your professor? How did you mail them? He sent me a sample of how he mailed them and all those things. You understand? The email, the content. It worked for him. So
obviously it has to work for you.
You understand?
If your family witches are not silly against you.
I didn't even inform the family witches. So that one is actually true. Know people, reach out to them, and then let them guide you as to what. And be sure of that you are coming to grad school. That is very important. Because some people they want to leave the country. That's why they just come. They come here and it's too tough. And a whole lot you come too far and whatever, depression can come in.
That's true.
A whole lot. So just be sure you want to come here, reach out, do the very necessary. And there are very good videos that people have done on YouTube on certain processes. Some are very bad, but some are good. Very good. So you can reach out, sample them, take the very good information, and I think that should work for you. And then that's all. So see you in grad school.
And do you want to end us?
I mean, I just wanted to add that you should apply to as many grad schools as you possibly can.
Your financial...
As you possibly can. Or you can ask for a fee waiver, honestly. That's something I did, and I applied to every school I could possibly.
And they will all give you a fee waiver.
Yeah. Wow. I was like, I am an international student. I can't afford it, but I like you guys. And they're like, sure.
That's great.
So guys, I really hope you learned something. You can also help us learn something if you also have any contributions to make. But this is it for today. Thank you guys. And thank you guys. Bye.